Welcome to the PigPenPodcast. I'm your host, Damien.
And I'm your host, Justin.
And we definitely did not just inhale helium. So.
No. So we're reviewing a movie today because that's what the show is.
Yes.
We review movies.
On the review room.
And
well, it's not what our PigPen Podcast show is. It's what the review room is, which is a subsect of the PigPen Podcast.
Essentially what I was trying to say when I said it was our show.
Yeah. Review room.
Yep. That's this one.
We're reviewing a movie?
We are, and the movie is titled Final Destination Bloodlines.
It is.
If you didn't already know.
Yeah, I mean, you probably did from the thumbnail. Unless you're on Spotify, which from the title you also would know. So you knew either way. Either way.
Yeah. We think you guys are intelligent.
Yeah, sometimes.
I feel like our audience, you know, the vast majority of them, they have some level of intelligence. They have some level of...
Most of them.
They can read.
Out of the 14 million and one, I'd say
Yeah.
it's probably like... I'd say it's probably like 13 million.
That can read?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's just a straight 1 million and one that are just imbeciles.
They can't read. So essentially, the only reason they're watching us is by chance because
Yes.
they didn't.
No, they
know it was
they were
us.
at home and they fell asleep and then they woke up to autoplay and we
Yeah.
were just what YouTube or Spotify recommended. Speaking of,
Oh yeah. Speaking of, we're on Spotify and YouTube.
we are.
And if this is your first time listening to us, we do usually say random things for too long. That's
Yeah.
what we're good at.
That's like our thing. That's our
Yeah.
thing. Is we just kind of
And we just keep yapping.
yeah, and that's what we're doing right now actually.
All right. Getting back to where we should be.
Okay, yeah.
We got to give that synopsis.
Final Destination Bloodlines.
Final
so for the review
Destination
room,
Bloodlines.
for the review room,
Yeah,
we normally hit you guys with a synopsis and a spoiler-free review.
that's right.
And then we hop into the spoiler territory and we give you our full thoughts and opinions.
Full thoughts, and we'll give you a warning.
Yeah.
Because if you haven't seen it and you're just here for that little synopsis and opinion, we'll give you that 3, 2, 1.
Absolute.
Mm-hmm.
All right, dude. So, synopsis of the movie. This is the 6th Final Destination movie.
It's a Final Destination movie. Honestly, that's a pretty good synopsis in itself.
Yeah, I mean, it is straight up just if you've seen a single other Final Destination, you know what you're in for.
Yeah, you do. If you haven't though, and if this is the first one, this was my first one.
This was Justin's first Final
Ironically.
Destination movie.
I've seen a lot of clips from the previous movies, but never watched the entire one in itself.
Yeah, I have seen all of them. I'm not a massive Final Destination fan, so I have not seen them I don't watch them every year or something, but I have seen all of them at least once.
Yeah. But yeah, this is my first one. So synopsis.
It's a Final Destination movie.
Yeah. But you know, if you're like me and for some reason you haven't watched a single one, basically there is a. How do you even explain this?
Basically, there is an event.
Without spoiling it.
Here, I got you.
I feel like we can just say.
No, there's an event. I got you. I got you.
Go
I got
ahead,
this.
go ahead,
I got
go
this.
ahead.
You trust
Yep,
me?
I trust you.
Audience at home, do you trust me?
They better.
Okay. So there is an event that a character will have a premonition of, and that event then leads the character to outrunning death itself. And the whole movie is the character trying to figure out how to stop death from getting them.
Yeah, there you go.
That's
Well said.
the synopsis.
Do they have premonitions in previous movies?
Every movie starts with a premonition.
Oh, okay.
And honestly, that kind of gives me one of my things of this movie is like we said earlier, is that this is just a Final Destination movie.
Yeah. Well, hey, you want to jump into whether or not we think they should watch it?
Yeah. Because I mean, for synopsis, there's not really much else to say.
Fair.
And whether we think you should watch it, my opinion, if you like the franchise, yes, you should.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
If you like it, then absolutely you should.
And I haven't watched any of the other ones, but I mean, I feel like from watching this one and from what I've seen of the other ones that I mean, this is definitely a you know, I wouldn't call it maybe it is a formula. But either way,
it definitely changes up a little bit from the typical Final Destination formula, but all of the main beats are there still.
Yeah, it is in its own, you know, it's in its own lane, and it follows what you would probably expect. So
yeah.
Yeah.
But like I said earlier, I'm not the biggest fan of Final Destination. like as a whole franchise. I may get killed for this in the comments or whatever, but I don't love these movies. And I would say if you're a fan, you should see this movie. And if you're not a fan, or like if this is your first Final Destination, maybe just don't.
Yeah, if I don't know. If you're a horror fan and you're I'm saying, yeah, if you're a horror fan and you want to watch a horror movie, it depends. Honestly, though, it depends on what kind of horror movies you like. Because this is actually really good at being. I feel like me personally. Maybe I'll wait to say this.
Okay.
I think we've already said our piece.
See, I don't know if you guys can tell from the fact that we cover a lot of horror movies on the review room, but I'm a horror movie guy. I love horror movies. It's my favorite genre. It's horror movies are my lifeblood.
Yeah, and I love movies that make you feel things, and horror movies are sometimes really good at that.
Yeah, and sometimes they're really bad, but I love the bad horror movies too, and that's the thing, Final Destination just isn't one of my loves, and this movie, I can safely say, unless you're a Final Destination fan, I wouldn't recommend seeing it.
There it is, folks. It's been said.
But if you are a Final Destination fan, I feel sympathy for you.
I don't know. I feel like this is worth. Yeah.
I don't feel sympathy. Like, obviously, everyone has their own things. Art is subjective, but I'm not huge on it. So that's it. That's our spoiler-free review.
All right. You want to get into the 3, 2, 1?
Yeah. Let's give them the 3, 2, 1.
If you've never watched this movie, see, I usually say go away, but honestly, I feel like with this one, you can just keep listening.
I mean, you can probably still go away if you haven't seen the movie.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Can you tell our enthusiasm about this movie afterwards?
Maybe I just want more views, all right? If they stay and watch the whole video, like I'm honestly starting to second guess myself.
A view counts, like, after like watching
it does.
like 10 seconds.
It does, but here's the thing, man. I know, it's courtesy and we should be shooing these people away. But sometimes I want more company, man. I want more people to stick around.
I'm going to shoo them. So this is a classic Damon Juice split.
So basically what you're saying is if we had kids, you'd kick them out of the house.
I would.
I would try to shelter them.
Go play in the dirt.
And you would tell them to play in the dirt.
Go cut yourself and rub a little bit of dirt in it.
Maybe I want them to stay inside and be other tablets, okay?
No, jump in the mud.
I bought those things. They were expensive.
Jump in the mud, dude.
They need to use them.
Well, you know what? I think tablets are used for...
They're going to be coders one day.
Well, they also may be watching unsavory material on the internet.
Yeah, except they won't be because... Yeah, I guess they would.
Well, okay, spoiler time. All right, 3, 2, 1, spoiler time.
All right.
Okay,
spoilers.
All right,
so we got to start with what we didn't like, per usual.
Per usual, we'll say what we didn't like, and then we'll get into the stuff that we did like.
And
because we always want to end it on a positive note.
Exactly.
Art is subjective, so some people may like it even if we don't.
You don't know what I think.
I have a pretty hard feeling of what you think.
I might literally love this movie. But hey,
You also said I feel like you should see it. Okay, actually, hold on. You said I feel like you should. No, I'm being detective. Detective Dame over here.
We don't need one.
You said I feel like you should see it if you're a Final Destination fan, but you didn't say anything else other than that. Did you like this movie? On a I guess subjective in nature, but objective to your own.
Honestly, I'll answer that question with my rating. But
that's at the very end.
I know.
You're keeping me on the hang. You're keeping me on a
Listen,
hook.
I didn't hate this movie.
You didn't hate it?
No.
Okay.
But don't get me wrong. Would I watch it again? No. All right, David. What did you not like?
What did I not like? Biggest, absolute hardest downfall of this movie, in my opinion.
All right.
Oh my God, the CGI was borderline unbearable in certain sequences.
Really?
Yes. I think I've said this in the past.
Dude, I felt like some of it was practical.
Dude, there was like maybe 2 practical scenes in the whole movie.
I honestly felt like this. I felt like
we just saw the movie, by the way. So I mean, I guess I could be wrong.
I feel like the blood and gore and the kills were actually one of the highlights of the movie.
No,
That's one of my highlights.
I do not share the same opinion.
Because I literally remember thinking that wow, these were actually done well.
I I am not of the same opinion.
Interesting.
So obviously I love horror movies. I've seen quite a few of them, and I am one of those film bros that loves practical effects over CGI. And my eyes, I haven't done this like consciously, but my eyes are basically trained to find CGI, right? So when I watch a movie, if there's CGI, my eyes immediately like see it and they're like, oh, okay. And it like puts me in a different mental state when I'm watching the movie.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense to anyone at home, but
I honestly am pretty picky about CGI, but I felt like this movie actually was well done.
It was god awful in scenes.
I honestly don't remember a single bad
When her
scene.
head gets crushed in the back of the
oh yeah,
dumpster.
yeah, but
That
that's
was
the thing though.
fucking horrible.
I feel like it looked like practical effects.
I'm
not saying it was,
I did not
but
think
like
it was practical.
they made it have that vibe. I feel like.
I don't
So maybe
know.
that means it was low budget, but so maybe that's a bad thing. But I don't know. I liked it.
That was one of the hardest scenes where I was like, oh my God, while I was watching it.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of another one right now.
To be honest, the angle we were watching this movie,
we did get pretty rough seats at the theater. We were on the front row. I've never sat in the front row for a movie before.
It's honestly, it
except
wasn't
one.
Yeah.
I've
Well,
seen-
that was the second row.
No, we were in the first row.
Dude, it was the second.
Are you thinking of the same movie I'm thinking of?
Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat.
It was second row, bro.
2017?
Second
No, dude,
row.
we were in the first row.
No, it was second.
You may have been in the second. I was in the first.
I was sitting next to you.
I disagree.
Okay, either way, I know it's the second row because I consciously knew I had never been in the front row.
Okay, well, if
I
that
feel like
is-
this was our first.
If that is the true case, if you are telling factual truths
Yeah.
right there.
I mean, this was 8 years.
8
Did we
years
watch
ago.
this when it came out?
Mortal Kombat?
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw it in the theaters.
Oh, yeah.
In 2017.
obviously, I'm stupid. That was 2017?
Yes, it was.
What?
8 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, we're old. Wow. We're old men. We're old pigs,
That's
actually.
despicable.
Old pigs on the PigPen podcast.
8 years is
Yeah.
wild. All right, back to the video. I need to stop having a crisis.
Yeah, we're gonna have to drink a lot after this. But
Water.
Drink water, of course.
I'm really parched.
Of course. But no, dude, the CGI was just, oh my God. Like,
Okay.
I just could not get behind it in essentially any scenes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Except there was one where in the first premonition that we saw where her she was like being held on by her ring and her ring fingers like degloved itself.
Yeah.
That was a good effect, and I think that was done practically. And there was a couple scenes that were done practically, I think, at the very end of the movie when the pocket knife clicks onto his finger and it goes into his like index finger.
Yeah.
That I'm pretty sure that was done practically too. But that's the thing, is that all of the practical effects were like small little details, and all of like the big scenes were all CGI, and it was just and I don't know, maybe they were done practically but they used CGI blood, which could be the case, and the CGI blood ruined it for me. Because I'm thinking about the dumpster scene where, what was her name? It was Julie, right?
I have zero recollection.
I think it was
of
Julie.
Any names?
Julie's in the back of a garbage truck, and the crusher crushes her head.
Yeah.
I'm
was
thinking
Julie.
about it. It could
She
have
had a
been done
necklace.
practically. It could have been done practically, but the effects they put on in post production, if it was done practically, the effects they put on it in post production ruined it,
All right.
because it was bad.
Well, there we go. And I was gonna say that I really the kills was actually one of the highlights for me. So we are so far at opposite opinions on
I
this
mean,
subject.
for the kills as a whole, I think most of them were Thing flies at someone's face and stabs them in the head.
Well, yeah, and I was more so.
Which, I mean, I felt like it was not super creative. Like, it was creative, but Final Destination movies, their whole thing is you're watching this Rube Goldberg trap, like, try to destroy a person's life.
And
So it's like you want to see cool, like, really creative ways, and I felt like they were all just kind of meh.
Yeah. Well, the reason it's a highlight for me is because there isn't many. So there you go.
There isn't many. Oh, man.
But we can move on.
Oh, hold on. I gave a negative. You gave a negative.
Yeah, that's what I meant. So I'll give you something. I kind of had this thought at the end, and I don't know. I guess I kind of realized it throughout the movie. But you just mentioned that What did you just say about how everyone dies?
It was like, just kind of not super creative.
Yeah. So
Like half of the deaths in this movie were just an object flying into someone's face.
right. So here's the thing. They say death is he's a mysterious master. All right.
He works in
You never
mysterious
know.
ways.
He works in mysterious ways. No. He works in one singular way. And
Yes,
you know
he
what
does.
that is?
What is it?
Gravity.
Gravity. That is actually a trope.
Every single death was caused by something falling. Every single death.
That is actually a trope of the Final Destination franchise.
Yeah.
Is the wind? Is death is personified by the wind?
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Because the wind pushes an object and the object falls onto something else, which causes the chain reaction of the
and that was my
Goldberg
original thought
machination.
was like wind, death is the wind.
Yeah.
But then obviously there was a few things where like something only fell because it was the door was slammed or something random. So I was like thinking, wait, every single kill happened because something fell down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So dude, honestly, to beat death, you just have to live in a field.
Go to the moon.
There you go, man.
Go to the
Actually,
moon.
you just solved it right there.
Go
Go to the moon. I was gonna go on this whole spiel
Or you could just not be stupid.
of living on the floor. Yeah, or that. Yeah, and also I know you'll agree with me on this, but another negative was what's her name's house.
Dude, oh my fucking god! Did you hear my audible gasp in
Yeah.
the theater?
Yeah. I was
Because,
just laughing.
It's
It's like, why does your house have that many ways to kill you outside?
So the spot? So the
I felt like I was missing something.
the grandma at the beginning, she she built this bunker, and it is just fucking covered in
Yeah.
spikes. Just literally thousands of spikes.
So I don't see, and I thought is she doing this on purpose? Like, is she putting that many ways somebody can die out there on purpose? Like, I don't know.
No, dude, it doesn't make any sense because death literally is an invisible force.
Yeah.
What is she using these spikes to protect against?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I was confused.
Because if this was a monster flick,
yeah,
if Bigfoot was walking through the woods, the spikes would make sense. But
Bigfoot's not a monster.
he's a human just like us. You're right. I apologize to Bigfoot.
Good.
But if the Loch Ness monster,
Dude.
literally monsters in the name.
And you think that's his fault? Or
If
her
Dracula,
fault? What did I say?
Dracula, is that one acceptable?
Dude, why are you getting off track, man? Get back to the movie.
I'm just saying, if a monster was in the woods, these spikes would make sense.
I agree.
But death is literally an invisible force. What are these spikes there for?
yeah, and also why is your fire hydrant on the outside of your door?
Also, fucking these.
Although technically, I guess that is better than it being inside.
Our main character, I don't even remember her name. She decides, well,
I don't know.
Grandma lived in this house for 20 years and evaded death, so that must be the safest place on earth. Bitch, this thing is covered in spikes.
Yeah, this is the least safest
It is
place.
not safe at all. And they literally drive an RV through the front gate to get in. I'm like, you guys are trying to evade death, yet you're literally inviting him in every instance.
One thing about the characters in this movie, they were all dumb.
Everyone was fucking
They were all
stupid.
so stupid. But it got to a point where it was actually funny. And some of the
certain parts were.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that when we get to the positives.
Yeah.
But that's like a thing of the Final Destination movies is the characters always try to find a way to beat death.
Yeah.
And I think in this movie, the way the characters decided to beat death was just fucking ridiculous because in the previous movies, one of the ways was to, flatline because then you died and come back to life.
Right.
Like adrenaline or something like that. That was one of the ways to beat death.
And that was
They
also
literally
this
just
movie.
reused that.
Yeah.
It's like they didn't come up with a new one for this movie. They just reused one of the old ways. And then no one even does it. That was their whole plan. And then they're like, okay, well, that plan is not going to work.
See, the weird part is the actual thing was that if you killed someone, then you would get to. But then they tried
That
to
is
do
explored more in the previous movies.
Yeah, and I was actually hoping they did something with that because I was like, oh, is that what this movie's gonna be about? Because that'll actually be interesting because these characters are gonna have to make choices that can really impact things.
No,
I was like, oh, okay, they're not actually gonna make any choices. that
Essentially, the
impact-
characters in this movie flounder around on screen waiting to die for the entire movie. They don't do anything
they
significant.
do all die.
Yeah, they do all die. And literally the two main, the brother and the sister, when she drowns, quote unquote, and he resuscitates her, it's like, oh, well, I flatlined and that bring me back to life. So that means it cuts death cycle off.
Yeah.
I'm like, literally when that happened in the movie, I was sitting there like, okay, but how do you know you actually died?
Right.
And the brother literally goes, you died and I brought you back to life. I was like, that is the corniest shit I've ever heard.
Yeah, that's another thing with this movie. Now, obviously, I haven't seen the rest of the series, so I don't know if I can really speak on this, but the suspension of disbelief, or you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. You talking about the last scene when the penny holds the train tracks from
There's that, there's that, but there's also just a lot of things. And don't get me wrong,
the
these
MRI
movies,
having the most, it being Magneto, being so powerfully magnetic that it can pull an entire hospital into itself.
And also the whole thing of death is the rules of death, where they were spewing a lot of rules, but then a lot of them.
Did they really though?
That's what I'm saying, but a lot of them didn't even really make sense. I'm just talking about how the entire intro where he tried to kill all the people at this sky place, but then, she saved them all. So then he ended up having to kill them all one by one afterwards, and he had to start with who he was going to kill first, and then he had to end on who he was going to kill last, but then he had to wait to kill them before he started killing their family members. And then I was like, okay, so this isn't actually death, because then we're assuming
it is actually death.
But that's what I'm saying. It can't be if it follows those rules, because then that means that death is not omnipotent, whereas obviously death is omnipotent. Because it's death. Everybody's dying everywhere all the time.
Final Destination is one of the most unique franchises where the actual. It's not. I would not say this franchise is a slasher franchise, but some people categorize it as a slasher because death is essentially the killer of the movies.
Yeah.
It is very unique, whereas most killers, they got a Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees. They got their icon. But this franchise, it is literally just the idea of death. So yes, it is very unique, and I think when you make death your villain, you have to give him rules to play by. Otherwise, it's not fun for the audience. Because if people just die left and right for no reason whatsoever, like it would be in real life, then, that's not, how is that entertaining to watch?
Yeah, no, you are right. And honestly.
So they have to give death rules in order for it to be entertaining, but the rules themselves aren't exactly great.
Well, and the thing you said about it being unique, I actually do agree. I like the idea of death being the villain, and yeah, you're right. It does need rules for it to be something worth watching.
Yeah.
But the thing is that these rules were just kind of said. It just kind of felt like
in the movie's defense, they are established in the previous movies.
In previous movies?
Yes.
Okay, so that's just me.
Yeah, no.
Obviously,
in the
being
movie's
the first
defense, most of the rules in this movie have been established in previous movies.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is a sequel. So, you were at a disadvantage coming into it as your first Final Destination. I will say it's better than some of the other ones. 3, 4, and 5, I think, are, actually unwatchable.
Yeah.
So,
and
this movie I wouldn't say is unwatchable.
Right.
It's just not.
No, I agree.
It's a good Final Destination movie. It's just I don't think Final Destination is a span of great movies.
Anything else you didn't like?
Yes.
For me, okay, if you had to rank, not rank, I don't know. For me, the things that were lacking were the plot, the characters, the set pieces.
The set pieces were pretty lacking. I mean, there were multiple set pieces, but none of them really felt like set pieces.
Even the skylight was just, it was not.
It was the worst part of the movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was just not. I did not like the cause and effect of that one, because in my opinion, I guess I don't know. I'll say it when we get to good things I like, but yeah, the cause and effect in that scene was just really, the penny being kind of the sole thing that moved it along was a cool idea. It just was kind of random. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I forgot to say this.
Go ahead.
But the fact that that woman had a plant above her like radiator or stove or whatever in the house that she had lived in for 20 years.
She lived in this house for 20 years.
And this plant was above.
It's death proof.
Like, what are you doing? And it even foreshadowed it earlier in the movie, and she didn't do anything about it.
It does.
My goodness. Okay, I just had to throw that
that
out
is
there.
I'm just like take what you just said, and I'm gonna like propel it.
Yeah,
because the worst part of this movie, the absolute worst part of this movie, is the grandma's house.
Yeah.
Nothing about this house makes sense. It is not a safe house because it's not safe.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense that she was able to live there for 20 years without death finding her. That doesn't make sense. And then like parts of the movie explain like, oh, she's able to see death. She's able to like predict when he's going to come. That also doesn't make sense because the whole thing is death happens without people knowing.
Yeah.
So like it literally, this grandma character is the worst part of the entire movie. And I genuinely was rolling my eyes during those scenes.
I did like the idea of the scene of her knowing how she was going to die and purposely walking into it. I like that idea.
I mean, I guess it's a fun idea.
But it also just hammered down the fact that this is not a safe place.
Yeah, but it also, I think it's a fun idea if it felt like it had a purpose. The purpose of her dying was to show her granddaughter that death is real. Oh? Really? Death is real?
Because you died?
Really? She literally says the best way to see is, or the best way to believe is to see. And I'm like, no, she's not gonna fucking walk out and kill herself. And then she does, and I'm like, really? You just served a great purpose.
Yeah, it would have been also nice if what's her name?
She also, if the rules of death in this movie is literally that once she died, then it would move on to her family members. So if she just stayed in the fucking cabin, her family members would have been safe either way.
You're right. I didn't even think about that.
But she literally walked out to kill herself.
She's the one who started it.
That made her family members in danger.
That's crazy, dude. I didn't even think about that.
I was literally so bamboozled. I was like, this grandma character needs to die. And then she killed herself.
Needs to die.
She's the worst in this whole movie. I was actually pissed off while I was watching.
No,
it.
I do agree. Like that whole thing was just not a good part. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else? Any other negatives?
I mean, I could keep harping, but I feel like I've said my piece.
Yeah. Likewise.
There are some positives I have in this movie too. So do you want to go or do you want me to go?
Okay, I'll start. The scene of Julia dying was probably one of my favorite parts of the movie. And
where it kept tempting you and making you think Eric, the goth kid, was going to die?
Okay, not one of my favorite parts, actually. No, I just love the scene of where they walk past the saw, like up against the tree, and she goes, it could do this, and the leaves could do this. And then you see it happen in the background while they're talking. Like, I actually thought that was hilarious.
That was pretty good.
Because also it was done like so comedically where it was like beat by beat by beat, and then she's in the trash can and gets thrown in. I don't know. That made me laugh.
That leads into one of my positives. So Eric is the oldest brother and Julia is next in line in this family tree, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, Eric is going to die next, so we need to make sure Eric is okay. And then Julie dies next, and they're like, what the fuck? And the mom is like, I didn't tell you, but you're not from your actual dad. That was a good twist.
It was.
I wasn't expecting it.
I like
because I genuinely was like, oh, so is Death not playing by the rules this time when Julie died first? And no, he was. It's just we didn't know all the information.
Yeah.
I thought that was a great twist.
Yeah, I agree. I really like the comedy in this movie, to be honest.
I will say there's definitely comedic bits that did not land for me at all. But there was definitely some good scenes of comedy. Like you said, the Julie dying scene, like the lead up to it was pretty comedic. The whole Eric is not actually from your dad's not actually your dad.
Yeah.
That part was pretty funny.
Why do you always want to play catch with me?
Yeah. Eric as a whole, he was probably the funniest character in this movie. Yeah. I think.
And also really dumb.
He was really dumb. Because when, I guess that's more of a negative, but like when he's trying to kill his brother so he can flatline him and bring him back to life, I'm like, oh my God.
The whole hospital scene was also just kind of like...
The entire hospital scene
The suspension of disbelief in that entire scene was what was getting to me.
One of my positives is that, as with every other Final Destination movie, these movies are good at building anxiety.
Yeah.
they're good at building anxiety because you see all these, like, it'll show you like water dripping, or it'll show you like a crackle of electricity, and then you start seeing that turn into something else, and like the effects keep chaining and making this reaction, and it's good at building anxiety. The hospital scene, I had zero anxiety. I knew exactly what was going to happen. I was
We're
like,
being negative, man. This is the good part of the video.
yeah, you're right. Positives.
We got to end it on a high note.
Final Destination as a whole is pretty good at building anxiety. You know?
Yeah, it is.
It's pretty good at being, that's a positive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another positive. I really, obviously this is my only one I've seen, but I do really enjoy the cause and effect idea. Like being able to either put the pieces together in your own mind of what you think is going to happen and then watching it actually happen. Like that's fun.
It is really fun.
I enjoy that actually.
I also like I said, with the whole death being the killer thing, it is extremely unique.
It is. I think
You
it
don't
is
really see
a
it
great
in like
idea.
a ton of other
Yeah.
horror movies.
Like honestly, after watching this, I want to see other Final Destination movies.
It feels very Home Alone, but like murdery.
Exactly. And I really didn't hate my experience, but like I said, I wouldn't watch it again, but I did not regret watching it.
I think we should watch Final Destination 1. Like, not right now, but I think we should watch
Right.
Final Destination 1 because I think that's probably the best Final Destination.
That makes sense.
Also, it's the one that started it. It's the one where you get the rules. It's the one where you get to see everything blossom. And
Yeah.
now that you have an idea of like where it goes, you can see where it started.
Yeah, sounds good.
I think we should do that eventually.
I would actually want to.
Another positive I had. Did I already say Eric as a whole? Like, I just like this
Yeah.
character.
I think so.
Because like there's the whole scene in the tattoo shop where he's like almost gonna die, and you keep thinking he's gonna die, and then he doesn't.
Yeah.
It was stuff like that where they took what Final Destination normally does and they subverted the expectations that I liked.
I know. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, no, it threw me for a loop, and I was like, that is good.
Yeah.
Versus, you know, the end stinger where the two main characters die. And it's like that happens in every Final Destination movie is there's an end stinger where it's like, oh, you can't escape death.
Yeah, which I actually didn't see that coming, but
Yeah, but I've seen the other one, so I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
And it literally, you looked at me and you were like, because they died.
Yeah.
Or like all their friends died, and you're like, oh, they're happy and all their family's dead. And I looked at you and I went, I just like shook my head. I'm like,
it's not over.
This is not over
But
yet.
I was like, this is too happy of an ending. Like your entire family's just dead.
yeah,
And
it's
this dude's
every
going on a
movie
date.
ends with a stinger though, so it's like, you know, I can't really fault it because it's just keeping the trend.
Yeah, yeah.
And then
Also, dude, Tony Todd.
that's literally what I was about to say. Crazy. Did you read my mind?
I did.
All right, but yeah, my biggest positive of this movie, and this is very probable that I am just a Tony Todd fanboy, but I love Tony Todd. I love that man as an actor. I love him as a human being.
Yeah.
I just love him. And the fact that this is his last movie,
Mm-hmm.
R.I.P. Tony Todd. Obviously, you're not listening to my podcast right now, but if you can hear me in the ether, I love you. And I'm glad I got to see you one last time.
Dude actually sold his lines like
Oh,
perfectly.
dude, he's always amazing.
Yeah.
Tony Todd is he's just a beautiful man in everything he's
He
in.
owned it.
Yeah. He plays Bloodworth, he's a character in every Final Destination movie. He's kind of the mysterious guy
That's what I figured.
that everyone learns the rules from him in the other movies. Is like they don't know what's going on and they find him and then he tells them the rules. That's essentially what usually happens.
Yeah.
And in this movie, he didn't give the rules because they already knew the rules. However, he was just kind of like, hey, I'm done because I'm going to die too. And it's because in the flashback with the shitty grandma character, we saw Tony Todd as a child.
Mm-hmm.
We got to see his origin and how he knows about death's machinations and all this stuff. I thought that was amazing.
Actually, I think it was. Yeah,
I thought
done
it was
well.
really, really cool that we got to see Bloodworth's character a little bit more. We got to peer in behind the mystery because he literally is a mysterious figure in all the other ones. They literally show up and they're like, how do you know all this? And then he's gone. He like disappears. Like, and I think in like 3, it might be 3. I don't know. I can't remember. But like they're literally talking to him and she like turns around and then she turns back and he's gone.
Yeah.
Like
Pulls
he's
a
like,
Batman.
yeah, he's that mysterious where you just don't know what the fuck is going on with him. And I love that we get to peer behind the curtain for his last appearance.
Yeah, that is cool.
I will say that scene broke my heart. Not for anything the movie did. The movie did not make me sad once. However, Tony Todd,
Just had to let
seeing
us
him
know.
so gaunt and so frail from his disease, it made me sad.
Yeah.
But even in his deteriorating health, he sold the fuck out of his lines. He was classic Tony Todd. Dude killed it.
Yep.
Best part of this
He
movie.
spoke to the audience, man.
Best part of this movie. I love that man. I love everything he's in. I don't love everything he's in, but I love him in everything he's in.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I got to see him one last time.
Yeah, dude. It was the highlight.
Absolutely. I 100% agree, but that was my biggest positive, was just Tony Todd's existence.
Yeah. I
I
agree.
just fucking love him.
And dude, does that do it for the video?
I mean, we gave our negatives, we gave our spoiler free, we gave our spoiler filled, we gave our positives.
We said our piece.
We did our intro. We told the people where they could listen to us. I think it's time to give a number rating.
What do you got, man?
I want to hear yours first because I feel like mine's going to surprise you.
Mine is a 5.
5. Nice. Mine is a 5.
Yeah?
Dude, that we tied again.
Dang, dude, we
Look
agree.
at that.
We agree.
Look at that.
Hey.
We tied.
Yeah, man, because
See, 5 for me is literally down the barrel. I don't have enough negative feelings to say it's an awful movie, and I don't have enough positive feelings to say it's a great movie.
yeah, literally
It's
same.
literally like I watched a movie. That's
And
how
also,
my feelings are.
Going into this movie, I didn't have super high expectations. I figured it would probably fall in the line of, you know, it's the 6th movie in this franchise. It's not going to be super amazing. But you're going to get what you expect. And
Yeah.
I got what I expected.
Yeah. For me, 3.5 of those points were Tony Todd, but you know,
Yeah. yeah.
I don't think it's an awful movie. However, unless you're a fan of Final Destination, again, wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah.
But if you're a fan of the series, it's probably going to be a good time for you.
honestly, I didn't hate watching it. It wasn't a bad time.
So
So it's-
straight 5
it's
down
5.
the middle.
Yeah.
What is this movie doing critically? I thought it had like really good
It has
critical reviews.
great reviews.
I don't get it.
I don't know. Like, because it is very watchable. You know what I mean? Like, it can. But yeah, that doesn't necessarily always matter to critics. So I don't know.
Yeah, usually critics are harsher on the horror genre than any other genre, which is why I'm so confused as to why it's doing amazing. Because I don't think it was, like that.
I mean, I was gonna say, I don't think it's a bad movie necessarily.
It's not bad, but it's not good.
Right.
Straight up down the middle.
Yeah, it's a 5.
It's
Yeah,
5.
It's 5. Yeah, man. Lots of people like it, and that's okay. I respect it
And if you like Final Destination, I still respect you as a fan of horror.
for sure.
Just so you know,
I want to watch more of them.
if you like these movies, you are free to like them. Art is subjective. But
You're free to have opinions. By the way,
I have
we're letting you know because we.
Well, you have to.
Our voice matters a lot.
With the internet, you have to, because some people are going to hear me say that I don't love Final Destination, and they're going to think that I'm attacking them.
Oh no,
I'm
no.
not attacking you.
I
Listen
understand.
here. Listen here.
I was just,
Listen here.
I was just doing what I do,
I'm not attacking you.
parroting.
I love all of you, even if you like bad movies.
Might not attack you, dude. He attacks me a lot.
I do attack him a lot.
Like I'm in pain.
Yeah, I'm
all the
actually
time.
stabbing him right now.
I am literally pulsating blood from all orifices.
I am death.
You work in mysterious ways.
I do.
All
right, guys. Well, that's
we
it.
better go. Dude.
Time to do the outro.
I think so. I mean, we basically already did the outro.
PigPenPodcast.
Subscribe for more.
Every Friday.
Subscribe for more, but if you
Review
don't
room,
subscribe, you'll still
exposition
get more
seat.
because you can just search people.
Could
on
be
YouTube
either.
and you can still
And the
watch the
people who
videos without subscribing.
I've never watched the exposition seat. Don't even know
Subscribing
what
is
that
honestly
means.
only for people who
No, I think subscribing's for everyone.
the notification bell is for lazy people.
I think
I just called people out, dude. I'm being real.
you know what I'm gonna do.
If
I
you
actually
really cared
really-
about a channel,
Everyone at
you'd
home,
be on that.
I'm gonna let you into a little secret.
You'd be on that
I gotta pee,
because we're every Friday.
so I'm gonna go pee.
Every Friday.
And I'm gonna
12
say
a.m.
the closer, and then I'm gonna go pee.
Okay, what if I beat you? Beat you
Oink
to the
oink
toilet.
oink oink. Oink oink.
What are those noises?